Welcome back to Sharing with Shamika. Today we're going to be making beef stew. We'll start out with these ingredients here on the screen. And just want to give a tip when making beef stew or any type of meat. Always make sure that your meat is at room temperature before you cook it. When you put your meat in heat, whether you put it in the oven or on the stove and it's cold, it tends to shrink and that makes your meat tough. So it's always better to cook your meat when it's room temperature. It's starting to turn cold in most parts of the United States, and this beef stew is really hearty. It helps keep you warm. It's good as far as cost because it doesn't cost that much, and this is something that if you only want beef stew for maybe one day, you can always put this in a freezer container or maybe in a freezer bag. Store it in your freezer for a couple months, and then when you're ready to eat stew again, instead of having to cook this all over again, you can just pull it out, warm it up, and you got your stew. I will have all the ingredients that I have in this video in the description box. Here I'm going to chop up some vegetables. Today I'm just going to use some carrots and some potatoes. As a little girl, when my mom would make this, she used to use a bag of frozen vegetables, and you know it has a lot of vegetables in those frozen bags. It used to be potatoes, carrots, corn, green beans, tomatoes, but today we're only going to use these ingredients. Here we have beef stock, and we're going to use some tomato paste. Now let's brown the meat. We're going to put it in our pan because I don't want to have a lot of dishes. I'm going to go ahead and put it in my pot that I'm going to put my stew in, brown it on each side. We're not cooking this through, we just want to brown it. So now that we have it browned, we're going to remove it from the pan. And we'll add this back in later. Now we're going to be adding in some we're going to saute some onions and bell peppers. And another tip, when I go to the grocery store, I do this maybe once a month. I will get a bag of peppers and a bag of onions, and I will chop them up and place them in freezer bag, and I can use them later on as I'm cooking. I don't have to stop and chop up what I'm needing, like peppers, or if I need some onions. I already have them already stored, chopped up, and placed in the freezer. Now I'm going to add about 3 ounces of tomato paste in this. This is what's going to give it some of the flavor that we're looking for. Now I'm going to add in that beef broth that I have. And I'm only going to use 1 container of this because I'm only cooking this for 2 people. And I can always, if I don't want to eat this right now, I can always put it in freezer bags and eat it later. So this is a good tip. Another tip, if you want beef stew and you have the time earlier in the year, you can go ahead and make it up early. Put them in freezer bags based on the size and portions you're going to be serving it. And then later on, when you're ready to actually eat it, you can pull it out of the freezer, thaw it out, and then serve it as a meal. I'm going to pour in 1 cup of red wine. No particular brand, whatever brand you like to drink. And then I'm going to add that beef back into the stew. Let that cook for about an hour on medium low. I did go ahead and taste it, and I wanted to add a couple more seasonings because I'm looking for that taste. Now you season it how you want. I just know what I was looking for. I also added in 2 bay leaves. And then I did add just a few pearl onions. My family don't prefer onions, but it really does make this stew taste really good. And I also added in a half of a tablespoon of chicken bouillon. So now that I have that combined, I'm going to go ahead, cover it with a top and cook for about an hour. And this is what it looks like after an hour. And it has this red color. I like for my stew to have a brown color, so I'm using this brown seasoning sauce. Only just a little bit, just to achieve that dark brown color that I'm looking for. I also made a slurry, and this is just the broth from the stew and some cornstarch so that it can thicken up the stew. Once I do that, let it simmer for another 15 minutes. It's ready to serve. And I did serve this stew over rice. This is how my husband likes his. I had mine without the rice. And notice how that gravy is now that brown color. Meat is tender. The vegetables are good and tender. Not mushy, but good and tender. So guys, I hope you like this video. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. And I want to thank you all so much. And also thank you guys for 500 subscribers. Thank you so much.